Well, welcome to our live webinar 2.0 series. My name is Nicola Pomponio, and thank you so much for taking the time to log in. The 2.0 series takes a closer look at the smaller production wines of each estate. We're so excited to be able to virtually travel to Italy. And today we discover one of the most hidden gems in Piemonte, in the town of Treviso, 5 minutes from the center of Barbaresco. Without further ado, I would like to hand over the virtual microphone to Winery Director Cesare Barbero and Customer Relations Manager Elena Oberto of Cantina Pertinace. Welcome.
Welcome. Hi.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Hello. So, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us at this webinar today. I'm Cesare. I'm the director of the cellar. I'm with my colleague Elena.
Nice to meet you. I'm the Relations Customer Manager here in the winery. It's a pleasure to have you virtually here with us.
So today we are inside of the cellar, and I would like to introduce you our cellar, just a few words about our history. So the Pertinace Winery was founded in 1973, thanks to an idea of Mario Barbero, that was my dad. Him and other 12 friends, they find the opportunity to buy a cellar, a winery that was placed in the village of Treviso. And the winery was located, and is still located, in an area called Pertinace. At the beginning, the name of the winery was Cantina Vignaioli Elvio Pertinace. Then it was changed to just Pertinace in the 2005, so 15 years ago. In the 1973, they starting with the first harvest. At the beginning, they just pressing the Nebbiolo grapes. So they start pressing the Nebbiolo grapes from all the 13 growers, and just a few kilos for each growers, just 1,000 kilos for each growers, because they decide to start with this small quantity, because for them to open a new cellar was a kind of a jump in the dark. They don't know the market. Nobody of them was knowledgeable about the market of wine, so they didn't know how the market respond of his product. Fortunately, their vision was successful, and in the year immediately following, they decided to increase the production until the total production for each growers. Actually, we press all the grapes for each growers, for each members. So from the beginning, that when we started with a few people and few hectares, a few grapes, actually now we manage directly 110 hectares of vineyards inside and outside of the Barbaresco area, and we are 20 growers, and the total production today is around 800,000 bottles every year. In the webinar of today, we're gonna taste two wines. They are just in front of you: the Dolcetto d'Alba and the Barolo. The Dolcetto d'Alba and the Barolo are two wines very typical, very traditional of this area. The Dolcetto is a kind of everyday wine, and is started to be produced in the late 1700 and the beginning of the 1800 century. Yeah, and was started because it was on the way between Piedmont and Liguria, and Liguria, the name is different. It's called Ormeasco, and in Piedmont is the Dolcetto, and this was immediately a successful wine for this area, and is because it's the wine of of the countryman is the wine that is the really everyday wine. I'm sorry if it's
Sorry.
We have some customers that are still coming. And
Go sell some wine, Elena. Good job.
And so the Dolcetto was a really the everyday wine was used beside to be a wine even as a food because was the grape is one of the grape that is good to have as fruit. Dolcetto, the name of Dolcetto means in Italian means sweet, but the wine is not sweet. The wine is completely dry, and this name comes from the typical characteristic of the grapes, because the grapes is very sweet. The area of Dolcetto is pretty big because it covers all the Lang area. And actually, in Piedmont, there's 7 different types of Dolcetto. The most famous is the Dolcetto d'Alba, the one that we produce. But in Piedmont, you can find the Dolcetto di Diano, Dolcetto di Dogliani, Dolcetto di Ovada, Dolcetto di Acqui, and Dolcetto di Langhe and Dolcetto d'Asti. But so we are very focused in the producing of the Dolcetto d'Alba. Dolcetto d'Alba is a perfect wine that you can match with a lot of kind of food. Its characteristic is to be a very fruity and very fresh wine. We are usual to drink Dolcetto pretty young, so 1 or 2 years old, but is a wine that you can even age a little bit for 5 to 7 years. But it's typical to have this kind of Dolcetto fresh and young. Usually, we are ready with the new vintage of Dolcetto the first 3 months of every year. So the Dolcetto 2020 gonna be ready around March 2021. And the Dolcetto is produced with pre-fermentation of about 7 days, temperature control, and then is aged just in still. We don't use oak for the Dolcetto because it's gonna lose its freshness, in our opinion. It doesn't lose its freshness and its drinkability. And so we are is aged in tank, and then in still tank, and then in the bottle before to be in the market. Typical of the Dolcetto is the bouquet, very floral, red and white flowers, and typical is the bouquet of almond. And in the taste is very smooth because it's wine that has not too much tannins, so it's very soft, round, and it has a long finish with back taste a little bitter. You can match the Dolcetto with starters, with pasta, with pizza, with white meat, fresh cheeses, and it's pretty nice having Dolcetto even a little chilled, not really room temperature, but a little lower than the room temperature. Is for sure the wine that we sell the most in Italy. So for us, it's a very important wine. And the second wine is the Barolo. And just to give you, before leaving the words to Elena, Barolo and Dolcetto are very different, especially in the price point, because Dolcetto, as I told you, is a fresh and really easy wine. We don't need to age the Dolcetto, but and so it's very different than the Barolo that is produced just in a very small area, and he has to age for 4 years before to be in the market. This is one of the reasons because the price point is so different between the two ones. So now, Elena, she will introduce you the Barolo.
Yes, let me introduce you to the Barolo. Just some information before start with our wine. You have to know that, of course, we are in the Barbaresco region, but Barolo is coming from the Barolo region that is definitely bigger than the than the Barbaresco area, because in Barolo you can find 11 different towns compared to the Barbaresco area that includes just 3 towns and a half. So it's very different, and both of them, Barolo and Barbaresco area, of course, are part of the UNESCO World Heritage since 2014, and we are very proud of this thing because it's very important for us. Of course, when we talk about the towns, there's 5 towns that are considered a little bit more important than the others, and are Barolo, of course, La Morra, Monforte, Castiglione Falletto, and Serralunga. Our Barolo is coming from La Morra. La Morra is also one of the highest town in the Barolo area. It's about 500 meters high. And in La Morra we can produce a Barolo very elegant because also the soil. Soil is rich in blue marl and also in gray clay and sandstone. So those are the reasons why we can find this lovely elegance in the wine. La Morra is also southeast exposed, when we talk about the history of Barolo, of course, Barolo is considered as the king of the wines, but you have to know that it was also the wines for the kings in the past. And so it was well known since the last centuries. We can say that the Barolo has having 2 pioneers. The first one, the Earl of Cavour, Camillo Benso, with his cousin, the Marquess Juliette Colbert from Castiglione Falletto. Both of them, they try to promote the Barolo all over the world. You have also to know that the Barolo at the beginning was produced as a sweet wine, so it was not dry. But then in 1830, the enologo Staglieno started to produce this wine as a dry wine. So everything changed from that point. The name Barolo, why? Of course, because Barolo is one of the biggest towns, one of the most important towns in the area, and was also, and is also, where the Juliette Colbert castle is today, and is also the place where you can enjoy the WIM, or the wine museum in Barolo. Focusing on our Barolo, we're talking about our Barolo 2015. The wine is fermented at temperature control in stainless steel tanks about 15 days. And then we make a vinification with a submerged cap under wooden boards for about 40 days. Then the wine is aged in big barrels, Slavonian oak. As you know, we are very traditionalist, so we don't use any kind of barriques or anything like that. Just Slavonian oak and just big barrels. The wine, of course, is a Nebbiolo-based wine. You know, Nebbiolo is coming from the nebbia, the fog. So as a grape varietal, is a varietal that loves the high temperature range between days and nights to better express itself in the glass. Vineyards are about 35 years old to medium, 35, 40 years old. Today we are almost ready to start the harvest, but of course not with Nebbiolo. Nebbiolo is always the last grape that we are used to pick. We are in pre-maturation so far.
1 month far from the harvest.
So close, but not so. So we have to wait a little bit longer, as always. Barolo is the wine to wait, and also grapes have to be waited. When we enjoy this wine, I can say that the bouquet is very interesting. You can find the small black fruits in the nose. You have a nice spiciness and hint of licorice also. In the mouth, the tannins are very nice. You have a lovely structure and also very elegant tannins. As we say, La Mora produce always a very elegant wines. When we talk about the food pairing, of course, is a very important wine, so it has to be paired also with food a little bit more complex, like some stew meat or some brasato. We are used to enjoy the brasato Barolo, for example. It's perfect also with the grilled red meat, with some egg cheese, and why not with the game. So those could be the best ways to enjoy this wine. 2015 as a vintage was a very interesting vintage that has produced a wine with a very full body, but nice and very balanced, we can say.
Yeah.
Agree? So cheers.
Cheers to you.
Cheers to you.
Some really interesting facts. I mean, two things that really stood out to me quickly were how you mentioned to chill Dolcetto. I typically chill Dolcetto when I drink it. I love it at a much cooler temperature. I think it really fares well, especially the stainless steel. It's just a really fresh wine. So on a hot day, you know, when you're gonna pop a bottle of white, don't be afraid to pop a nice bottle of a chilled Dolcetto and enjoy it with you know, one of your dishes. It's really nice. And then also the fact that I was thinking about what you said about the Barolo, how elegant La Mora is. And if you do have a chance to try Barolos from different areas other than La Mora, and you know, kind of do like a little comparison tasting, it's fun to do. Maybe actually Rachel and I can check in afterwards with Elena to maybe even see a couple brands that she recommends that are imported here, and you can kind of do your own little blind tasting and see really how elegant La Mora is, because La Mora does produce a little bit more softer tannins, like Elena mentioned, and just a much more approachable, I would say, Barolo than some of the other areas. Really beautiful.
Yeah, especially from Monforte. Monforte is pretty hard Barolo. La Mora is more enjoyable, more approachable.
Yeah, I just want to try to show you the differences between the colors of these two wines. Can you hold it, please? So because it's very different, as you can, I don't know if you can see, but when this is Dolcetto, and Dolcetto is very bright, it has this purple hints inside.
Deep ruby.
Yes, deep ruby, so it's very intense. Like Barolo and Nebbiolo base is lighter. There's a lovely orange shade inside, so it's more garnet and more brilliant and clear.
Okay, we're going to go into some questions, a little bit of Q&A, and if you do have any questions, please add them to the chat, and we'll go ahead and ask Cesare and Elena. Does the Dolcetto carry a little bit more residual sugar? I know that you mentioned that the word Dolcetto means sweet, but truly it's not a sweet wine.
No,
tell us about that.
Yeah, no, our Dolcetto is completely dry, so he has less than 2 grams per liter of sugar, so it means dry. And yeah, the name of Dolcetto, especially for the Italian market, is a problem because a lot of people think that wine is sweet, but the wine, as I told you before, is not sweet at all. It's completely dry, and is a wine that you can really enjoy with all kind of food. And fortunately, it's dry, so without sugar, so it has a is a wider products that where you can match it. So this so no sugar at all.
I have one comment that's pretty funny, and I know everyone can read the comments except for Cesare and Elena right now, but I think I'm going to read it anyway. The thought of a lightly
we
will make my
we
mouth
are
water right now. And it's only 9:20 a.m. That's what somebody said. And it's true because Dolcetto is just an easy drinking wine. It's really wonderful. And sometimes Dolcetto gets lost in our portfolio. I think it's a really, really wonderful wine. A lot of people go directly to Barbera, and Barbera definitely has a different flavor profile, different structure. And Dolcetto is just a really beautiful wine that should
yeah.
not be overlooked.
Yeah. Unfortunately, abroad, Dolcetto is a really underestimated wine because we think that it has to be more successful than really has at the moment. Because for me, it's a great wine, and even if it's very approachable in price, is one of our best value wine for sure.
Yeah, and
It's a wine that I love.
And then I can say that Roger's that reason is like a kind of Beaujolais wine for these areas, wine to drink young, fresh, with everything. So it's very important for us the Dolcetto because it's really our wines, and so not it's the everyday. So it's very important.
Yeah, easily an everyday wine. I have a couple questions on Barbaresco. The first question we have is how many growers, vineyard size, are we working with in La Mora?
Just one.
So just one, we're working with one grower in La Mora. Is it a very large vineyard? Tell us a little bit about it.
So we as you know, we are not in the area of Barolo. So we are in the Barbaresco area. So our cellar, we can produce Barolo in our cellar. So we have a joint venture with another cellar that he can produce Barolo, and we're doing an exchange with the Barbaresco. We give Barbaresco to them, and they give Barolo to us. And but we can check the style of production, and we follow with us winemaker even the production in the area for our wine.
Right, that makes sense. These are consortial laws. If you're in Barolo, you have to make Barolo in Barolo, and if you have to make Barbaresco in Barbaresco. So that makes complete sense. And a lot of people don't. I usually don't lead with that in terms of selling, but it is definitely a fact, and the highly educated buyer will definitely know that. We did show the difference in the colors of both wine glasses. So let me see if there's any other questions. Any other questions that we have? Let's see here. Don't be shy to leave a bottle of Dolcetto on the kitchen counter and revisit it on day 2 or 3. I'm with you, Jacob. I do the same thing. I love leaving wines on the counter and revisiting them a couple days later.
Yeah, day two, especially the bouquet of Dolcetto is gorgeous. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it's really a pretty wine. Let me look at, I think I have a couple more questions. How does the 16 vintage of the Barolo compare with the 15? What do we have coming up? What's expected? I know I popped a bottle of the 15 the other day with a client, and it was just really wonderful. It was drinking so easy. I thought it was going to be very tight and wound up, and the 15 was really nice. What's 16 going to be like?
Yeah, the differences between 15 and 16 for the Barolo are the same as the Barbaresco. So 15 was more elegant vintage, a little lighter, a little more approachable. The 16 is more powerful, more deep, especially in the extract and the quantity of tannins. So probably now 15 is better because it's ready, and the 16 is a vintage that can age for a longer time.
Okay, so that forcefulness of tannins is going to give it a lot more longevity. So the 16 is definitely one you can lay down for a lot longer than the 15. The 15 is ready to drink now. Someone just put on the chat. The 15 is a rock star. It's definitely a great wine to pop and drink. I mean, obviously you can leave out the 15 as well. Go ahead, Elena.
No, I was saying that tannins are very enjoyable in the 15. So very elegant, very, I mean, like velvet in the mouth. So good.
Fantastic. Elena, Cesare, I want to thank you so much for your time. Can you believe already almost 30 minutes have gone by? It goes by easily when we're tasting and talking about great wines from a great cantina. We really love your wines, and we thank you that you took the time to speak with our team. I'm going to go ahead and hand it back over to you to close. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you to you. Thanks, as usual, for your support to introduce our wine in the US. And we never thank you enough.
Thanks a lot. We now, you know, time is not the best. We are living a very hard time, but when we'll be everything will be better. We are waiting for you here in the winery. We really love to welcome you here to show you what we are doing and to enjoy some very great time and good wines together.
Well, we can't wait to come. We can't wait to come. Grazie, grazie, grazie mille.
Grazie.
Ci vediamo. Ciao, grazie.
Ciao. Ciao.